M1 Finance just might be the underdog of investing apps. People talk a lot about Robinhood, Webull, Acorns, Public, and a bunch of others, while M1 Finance quietly offers amazing features, no fees, and great design. Let's talk about what it's been like to use for the last 2 years and what I think about it. A lot of things about the app are positive, but I also have some frustrations, so stick around till the end to see those. First, let's start with the good, the design. Not only does it have great color tones, it's attractive, it's simple, and it helps you think long-term with your investing. It actually takes a little bit of an extra step to see like a really short window of time, like what's happened today or in the last week or so. So I think that helps us to make better decisions long-term because we're thinking more long-term and we're not buying and selling all the time, because statistically, the people that trade more often, most of the time do worse than the people who trade less often. And that's just the math, so don't get mad at me if you've made a bunch of money this year because of day trading. Good for you, but overall, the statistics don't lie. The second positive thing is ease of use. Once you get acclimated to where everything is located in the app, it is really, really easy to use. I personally think that one good test of a user interface is if you can open an app, get done the task that you want to get done, and then be out of the app all in a short period of time. Not a lot of distractions, not a lot of wandering, and M1 Finance is good for that. Let's try it right now. Ooh, I got low battery. Let's open it up. Let's pretend like I wanted to check my activity. No, let's open it up and pretend like I wanted to invest some more money. Auto invest is turned off. I'll deposit, let's say $100 from my bank account, and let's invest it right now. Boom, transfer. The money's coming in hot, like that new Lecrae song. I don't even think it's that new. Done. Actually, since I have auto invest turned off, let's turn it back on. And there we go. So now, first thing tomorrow, that money's gonna be invested. Thanks for helping me invest an extra $100 by making this video with you. I also like that in that whole process that you just saw in that screen recording, there's no distractions, there's no headlines, there's no big flashy like notification things to distract you. It just lets you do what you want. Unlike some of the other options, cough, Webull, cough, Robinhood, cough, Public. I'm not trying to spend all day on these apps. I'm trying to invest and move on with my life. Third positive thing, no fees or commissions. This is a huge deal. And there are still some people out there today who are paying for trades, who are paying fees. And I just don't think we need to anymore. Like, there are some really great premium services out there. Maybe you love them. Maybe they help you invest. By all means, keep doing what you're doing. But if you're going to choose between the same features that either cost you money or don't, it's pretty hard to justify paying money for something. The other investing app that I've recommended the most is called Acorns, and that charges between $1 and $5 per month, but it's a much more sort of helpful design because they've tailored everything to make things super easy, to explain it all for you, and I think it's actually worth it. I still pay the $1 per month to use the app myself, even though I have M1 Finance and other apps that are totally free. So don't feel bad if you're using Acorns, because I still think it's a good app, but it's more like these apps that charge you fees or charge you a percentage of assets under management if you've got like an active manager working on your stuff. That's the kind of thing that makes no sense to me. The fourth good feature, easy to share pies. And no, this isn't strawberry rhubarb, unfortunately. Also, leave a comment below. What's better, pies or cakes? There's one right answer here, and let's see if you get it right, because one dessert is definitely better than the other. But M1 Finance isn't talking about dessert, it's talking about the way they display your portfolio. So whenever you pull up your account with M1 Finance, what they do is they show you how much of each thing you're invested in that account in a percentage format, just in a big pie chart. So if you were invested in two things of equal quantity, 50-50, it would just be a pie chart with a line down the middle. If you're invested in a bunch of stuff like I am, it's gonna be all fractured out and kind of show you the percentage of each thing, and it helps you to sort of stick to that plan, if you will, long term. So it's not just like Webull or Robinhood or some other apps where it's like a big list of your investments without any regard to like the proportion of each one. This is sort of assuming that you like have a plan in mind, what you want your portfolio to be made up of. And they make these pies really easy to share. So if you want to, you can use expert pies from their people, but you can also just use pies from somebody else. So for example, I'll put the pie that I'm using right now for my SEP IRA in the description. Actually, better than that, I'll put it in the top comment. I'll pin the top comment, say this is my current pie for my SEP IRA, and you can click on it right there, see what I'm investing in right now in my latest account, and you could even start investing in the same things if you wanted to. This is not financial advice, this is just for funsies, from one friend to another sharing you what I'm doing, but it makes that process super easy. The next good thing about M1 Finance is called a money-weighted return return. A lot of investing services show you what's called a time-weighted return. What that means is it's a very simple version of showing you your return divided by the total amount you have invested. M1 Finance is the only investing service that I know of and currently use that does something different than that. And what it does differently is show you your return with every individual movement sort of frozen in time to show you the significance of that instead of just overall. That sounded confusing, so let's go over an example. Let's say you invest $1,000 at the beginning of the year. Over the course of the year, it grows 10%, and now you have $1,100. So now let's say you want to invest more and you send in another $1,000 at the beginning of the next year. Now the total you've invested is $2,000, but your return is still that same $100 from before. Other investing apps would now say that your return went from a 10% return down to a 5% return. But instead of saying that, M1 Finance would still say you made a 10% return. So what it's doing is kind of locking in the truth of what your percentage was at that time and showing you that despite what your current overall balance is. I'm obviously not a statistical genius or savant or great explaining this, but to me that makes more sense because I really did make the 10% return. Even though I invested more money now, it shouldn't cut into my return. When I really think about it, that's not helping me to understand how good my investments are doing. So all of that to say, I just prefer the way that M1 communicates that. Another positive feature of M1 is called Spend, and this is their checking account and debit card that they offer, and I've been using it for a little while now and I really like it. It's shockingly good as far as banks in 2021 go. Whenever you use the M1 Finance debit card, you get 1% cash back, and the balance that you have in the checking account also gets 1% cash back, which is actually really good for a debit card. And it's not like it's my primary form of payment or anything, but I like having it, and I like having that cash earn a higher balance than I do at our normal bank. Another positive trait is just how easy it is to open accounts with M1 Finance, and I recently tested that out by opening an SEP IRA. I knew I wanted to open an SEP IRA, and when I looked through my phone and I had all the options of investing apps to choose, I went right to M1. I just knew it was going to be the easiest and smoothest process. And it was just as easy as starting any other account with M1. You literally just click add account, choose an SEP IRA, and you're off to the races. It is super fast. And if you're not familiar with an SEP IRA, I'll go over it really quickly. It's a specific retirement account that your employer can contribute money to. And because I'm technically self-employed here on YouTube, I can contribute money for myself and the whole system works. So the benefit of the SEP really is that you can send in a lot more money than you can with a normal IRA. A normal IRA is limited to $6,000 per year, which is good, but if you really want to get serious about retiring early or building wealth, you need to send in more than that. So an SEP IRA lets you contribute the lesser of either 25% of your total income or $58,000. That's pretty amazing. The next two features are potentially positive for you if you're looking for it. I don't think they're mandatory. I think that they're handy if you really are looking for it, but they're completely easy to pass on if not. The first is called Borrow, and it's money that you can essentially borrow from M1 to do whatever you want with. It doesn't have to just be investing. It could be to go start a business or buy a really snazzy new camera or refrigerator or whatever you need. It's just a line of credit from them to do whatever you want with. To be eligible to access it, you have to have at least $5,000 invested with M1 because they kind of use that as collateral for what you're borrowing. Then you can borrow up to 35% of whatever you do have invested and use it for whatever you want. Pay down that debt, buy yourself a steak dinner, do whatever you like. And M1's website claims there is no extra application, no payment schedule, and it's only 3 clicks to activate. And since I had to try it out for the sake of this video, it was very easy to set up. I will give them that. It was super quick, super easy. Because I already had other accounts with them, they already had all my info, it was super simple. The next feature that's potentially positive is M1's premium account. It's called M1 Plus, and it basically just gives you a handful of more features over and above M1 Basic, which is free. So you can use M1 Finance, do your investing, do your trading, do whatever, all for free, unless you want these specific things, in which case you'd pay $125 a year. But at least for right now, the first year is free. So if you're like me, and you're gonna take free stuff if it's given to you, hey, you can even try all these out for free. To compare what you get between the free account and the paid account, I'll put both up on the screen right now so you can see. So M1 Basic is the free one, and you get 0 trading commissions, you can invest, you can use Borrow, their line of credit thing, but it's at a higher rate, it's at 3.5%. You gotta have the $5,000 invested, like I said, and you can use Spend. So you get a free digital checking account, ATM fee reimbursement, I don't know who uses ATMs anymore, yada, yada, yada. M1 Plus is here on the right side of the screen, and this is the additional features that you get with that. You get an extra trade window, which is AM or PM now. You get smart transfers, custodial accounts for kids, if you like that, a cheaper borrow rate at only 2%, and with Spend, you earn the 1% interest on the money you have deposited, you get 1% cash back, and you get some fees and things reimbursed, and a cool card design. So it's not a ton of features. You'd probably probably have to really care about that stuff to end up paying for it. But like I said, you get the first year for free, so may as well try it out if you have an M1 account right now. Overall, there are a lot of really good things about M1 Finance, but now it's time for the not so good things. For me, oddly enough, the application process to get a spend account was kind of a headache. It was not very streamlined, and it actually took me a couple of weeks to get approved. Somehow there was a problem with my social security number, and the only way that they could verify it was with verification of a W-2 with my full social security number on it, or a picture of my social security card. So I don't even know where my social security card is. It's probably here somewhere, and I looked on my most recent W-2s and there was just a partial number, so it took me a long time to track down a really old W-2 that still had my name on it and my full entire social so that I could send it to them and get it approved. I actually went back and forth with customer service a little bit on this, and they didn't budge. There's no other way for them to do this, allegedly, but through one of those two forms, so that was a little frustrating, especially because I already had 3 accounts with them. So how would they not know who I am? Like, what difference does it make if I'm investing with you versus if I want this spend account? Apparently there's a difference. Apparently banking and investing have different regulations, so I accept that, but the whole process was a little bit clunky. Speaking of clunky, and speaking of their spend, they don't have a digital wallet. So in your phone nowadays, you can have a lot of like credit cards and stuff just in there. They can be stored, and you can do shopping without the physical card. It's super handy. I like a digital wallet. I don't use it all the time, but every now and then I do. So I'd recently gotten this M1 debit card. I wanted to order some pizza to pick up on the way home, full disclosure, and I couldn't. There was no way for me to use the card without physically having the card. I couldn't look up the card numbers anywhere. And it seems like a really easy thing to just like add a feature where you could say, click show card numbers, but apparently it's not a thing. I also contacted M1 to ask about this, and they confirmed, yes, there is no digital wallet, and they didn't mention any possibility of it in the future. So it's kind of odd, because why wouldn't you have that in 2021? But they also did something else really kind of odd to me recently, which was adding a send check feature. So if you're in 2021, you have an M1 account, and you've been going, man, you know what I really want to do? Send a check to somebody. Well, now you can. Like, as of today, the day I'm filming this, June 7th, you can just send a check from your account. Who was asking for this? I don't know, but now you have it. Another slightly negative thing about M1 is initially just getting used to the design, because for me, somehow I was thinking that whenever you open an account, that all of the sort of actions you would take in that account would be on that primary screen. But what you have to do is click on that kind of hamburger on the top left corner and go back to portfolio, activity, holdings, or funding history to be able to get into some of those other actions. And so to me, that was a little bit illogical at first, because I kept thinking, well, I'm in the account. Why am I clicking manage pie and I can't find the things that I'm trying to look for here? So that's just me. That was a problem that I had that took me some getting used to. Oh yeah, I have to go back to that little hamburger kind of settings thing and find what I'm looking for there. Not a huge deal, but initially, because M1 is so unique in the way they've designed their pies and the app in general, it does take some getting used to. Another quirk that I know a lot of people really don't like, because I've had people comment, hey, I really don't like this about M1 Finance, is those trade windows. So I mentioned that before. What this means is that you're under no illusions that whenever you hit buy, it's actually going to do that right now. It's only during a little portion of time that they actually do your trades. So it kind of reminds me like whenever you go to the post office and there's like the little sticker that says when they come and pick up the mail. It's sort of like that with M1. You say like, hey, I want to invest this, like put your envelope in the slot, and then they're going to come by tomorrow morning and they're going to pick up the mail and they're going to go invest it for you. It's like, it's not as immediate as some of the other apps. So I assume some other people think like they're missing out somehow because they really wanted to invest right now. Like, now is the perfect time. I've decided I want to do it. Lock it in, baby. And they just don't lock it in. They're a little more laxed about it. I think more than anything, it's just sort of annoying, and it shouldn't impact your overall investment strategy, because if you're day trading, this is not the app for you. This is a long-term perspective, much more mellow kind of styled app, and so day trading belongs elsewhere. So it really shouldn't matter to us, but if I'm honest, I'm a little annoyed by it too. If I hit buy, just buy it. Just do it right now. But it doesn't really work like that, so I'm okay with it. I'm gonna still use it. It's just a little bit annoying. I was inspired in making this video to kind of create a spreadsheet where I assess an investing app, and I have these different categories to tell whether or not I think it's good and kind of give it an overall score. I do this with a buddy right now whenever we go to a bagel place, and we literally rate bagels in a spreadsheet based on like the cream cheese texture and how good the bite on the outside of the bagel is and stuff like that. Doug DeMuro does it here on YouTube whenever he assesses a car. He gives it a Doug score. So I'm nerd like that. I like an extra spreadsheet. So I made kind of a Brendan score for M1 Finance. And the categories that I'll use to kind of assess the app are cost, ease of use, features and services, thoughtful or helpful design, beauty, extra or paid services. I'll deduct points for any glaring faults or negativities, and then finally an overall score. So let's rate M1 Finance on this new app rating spreadsheet that I made. I've used it now for 2 years. For cost, I gave it a 20 out of 20 because it's free, and even their paid service is free for the first year. So there's nothing to pay for here for at least a year of use, which is great. For ease of use, I gave it a 17 out of 20. For features and services, I gave it a 19 out of 20. It's almost perfect. I don't have anything else I'm looking for that I would like to have here personally. Thoughtful or helpful design is a 7 out of 10. It's very good. For beauty, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I really love the color tones of this app and the way that the kind of animations work. It looks really nice. For extra or paid services over and above anything for free, I gave it an 8 because it's got some decent features here that I could see being really appealing. They're competitively priced. Overall, it's very good. I don't see any big glaring terrible faults here to give any negative scores, and overall I gave the app an 8 out of 10, and the total is an 87. So with a lot of time spent with a lot of different apps, 2 years spent with M1, over $30,000 invested. Is M1 number one? Yes. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks to all my new subscribers. If you're not yet subscribed, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future uploads. That helps me out a ton along with the like button, so I appreciate that so much. If you want to get started with M1 today, I've got links in the description for that, and I've also got a link to a video right here all about acorns. So if you just watched this about M1 and you want to see the differences and kind of compare my review with acorns, here it is. And also, here's another video that YouTube thinks you would like. All right, see you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.